What's that?
Shoo! It's a new book. A new railway series book.
A new railway series book? But it can be. I heard that the Reverend Audrey is retired right now.
Well, if it isn't a new railway series book, it must be a very boring book.
No, Bill. This book is cool bullshit. We'll take it to the harbor and dump it in the sea and take a big shit on it. That'll be awesome.
No, actually, I was thinking that more we would throw it to the fire and piss on it.
Oh my god. Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of the Really Useful Podcast. I'm your host Bonnie, also known as OT7. I'm here once again with my co-host.
So, according to these, and yes, before you ask, I am going to hell. Thank you very much.
Well, it's been a long time since we did last episode, but here we are with episode 22, where we're finally going to go back to the standard gauge engines, where today we're going to be taking a look at mainline engines.
Yep, that is right. And not only are we taking a look back at the standard gauge engines, but now we're going back to the books that were once again adapted into television and everything.
Yep, all 4 stories in this book were adapted, so we're back to the adaptation-wise.
Yep, three stories were adapted into season 2, while one story had to wait one more season until that was adapted, and pretty much we'll get to that story when we get to that one and everything, because pretty much there were a lot of interesting changes made with that story when it came to TV and such.
Oh, absolutely. Bill and Ben, basically, these 2 characters were based on two tank engine twins on the Port of Par, and Wilbur Audrey went to the Port of Par in 1966 to visit the Port of Par and saw them, and he was like, I think I might have an idea for that, and he went home to write about Bill and Ben.
Right. Honestly, actually, he went home. First he went home to write about Bill and Ben. Then when he came back to the railway, the twins were just like, "Oh, you're writing a book about us? Well, yes, I am." And then pretty much I like how in the forward and everything, like Wilbur, pretty much implies that Bill and Ben were more or less forcing him to make this book about themselves. And Wilbur was just like, "No, all right, I got a lot of these old characters. All right, I want to make stories about them too. Okay, leave me alone."
Yeah, that's hilarious to me, honestly, because it's like the Bill and Ben was like, "Can you make a book about us? Can you make a book about us? No. Can you make a book about us? No. Can you make a book about us? No."
No. And then Wilbur was just like, "Okay, how about I give you just one story and that's it." And then pretty much soon that one story, I had the twins make camp. Well, actually more so he mentioned the twins in the next story, and then in the third story, they appeared again, and then in the fourth story, they appeared again as cameos.
Yeah. And there's honestly a very interesting thing with Bill and Ben in the Railway series. I didn't know this until the Lucky Talk pointed this out, but I don't know if you noticed that in the Railway series, they are much smaller than their TV series counterparts.
Yes, and apparently, it does make sense because, pretty much, their prototypes and everything, or at least, the engines that are based on Bill and Ben and everything, are actually much very smaller as well, too. I think the reason why they're smaller and everything is, to accompany, the railway that, they're working on and everything, right?
Yeah, and there's a burst that's very, very, very tiny for the center gauge engine, so only Bill and Ben can get past. So if someone wants to go to the China Clay Works, only Bill and Ben can go there.
Pretty much, yes.
Because they were built specifically for the China Clay, so that's why you see SCC on their tanks.
Yeah, yes. SCC stands for Soda China Clay.
Exactly. And in the front you see Brendan Bay, which that means I work for Brendan Docks as well. So.
Mm-hmm. So now we know about Bill and Ben, but how did the next new character came about, aka BoCo?
Well, BoCo is very interesting because BoCo in real life has a very interesting history. Let me explain. So BoCo's prototype, which is a British Rail Class 28, that class was a disaster. Basically, the engines were problematic. The engines broke down quickly. And in 1961, the class was built in 58, but in 61 they were handed back to the manufacturer so they could fix the problem, because apparently the windows were falling out because they were so problematic that even the fucking windows fell off. So they were sent back to the manufacturer. Unfortunately, that didn't work out because they still suffer from issues, and by 1969, all of the class was withdrawn and scrapped, except for one. One survived to this very day.
Nice. All right. So, if BoCo wanted to, he could visit his twin brother anytime.
Yeah. In the Railway series, it's very different. BoCo suffered from the same problems as his class did, but Sir Tubman was like, I think I know how to fix the problem. And well, he fixed it, and now BoCo's one of the most reliable engines on the railway. But how BoCo came to Sodor basically was very simple. He came to the railway on loan, and Sir Topham was like, I think I might be interested in that diesel. So hey, can I keep it for a few weeks? And British Railways was like, yeah, sure, you can keep him. And then his trial went well, and BoCo became a part of the railway.
And yeah, yes, that's actually true. Which again, once again, like it's a very interesting point for like again for an author and a reverend that like really despise diesels almost with a passion and such. Like pretty much, if you've seen some of the interviews with Wilbur and everything, it is still very surprising. And like pretty much like there are still a couple of like diesel engines that like later on will become like main characters within the series as well too. And we're definitely going to be seeing that in like not the next book, but the book after it as well.
Indeed. Honestly, I can see why Wilbur changed his views on some diesels because let's be honest, not all diesels are bad. You know.
No, I mean, no, they're not all bad and everything. I mean, honestly, honestly, I would say that, like, had Tally Flynn not got a diesel engine and everything, I highly doubt that, like, Wilbur would probably change his mind on diesels, like, pretty much as quickly as he did. Like literally one book after, like, literally one book before, like, Rusty became a part of Sodor and everything.
Indeed, and honestly, I was gonna say Boko's one of my favorite TV series characters. Such a shame he disappeared after season 5.
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, like, there was talks from, like, Andrew Brenner about, like, pretty much how much he wanted BoCo and Hank to come back and everything. But pretty much, I don't know if it was Hit or Mattel that basically told him that, like, no, we have too many male characters, all right? Fuck them.
No, it was basically because of Big World, Big Pile shit. That's why they were supposed to come back in season 22, but they were just too many characters, and well, because Mattel was now I am in charge. Now this is gonna be Thomas now. Basically, that's what happened.
Yeah,
Such a fucking shame, honestly.
it is. Like, pretty much it is a shame.
And you
Like,
can tell,
honestly,
and you can tell my tone is starting to change a little bit when I talk about Big World, Big Adventures because it really fucking upsets me. To be completely honest, it really upsets me.
just wait till we get to that era whenever we get around to the TV series and such.
A little bit of a fair warning for you all. When we get to that era, expect me to scream in a lot of episodes because I hate that era. That is the era that killed the show for me.
So pretty much get your earplugs ready, folks.
Yep. but yeah, I do love BoCo. BoCo is one of my favorite TV series characters, and Bill and Ben as well. Bill and Ben, as much as they can be annoying, quote unquote, I love them.
I mean, like honestly, like I think Bill and Ben are like right next to like all the other season 2 characters that have like made an appearance and everything. Like, honestly, I would dare say like even compared to Donald and Douglas and everything, they're probably the most popular twins out of like the Thomas series as well. I mean, like for good reasons as well too. Like, pretty much like they're a cheeky nature, but also having like a good heart as well too. Like, pretty much like there's a lot of like a very good story materials you can make with those twins and everything. There's no wonder why, like, even with season 3 and everything, Brent and David like wanted to make some stories about them.
Yeah, definitely. I was so surprised when they came back in season 17.
Me too, honestly. Like, actually, like from what I heard and everything, I think Andrew Brenner, like, I think Andrew Brenner, like, even said that, like, Bill and Ben, like, are also one of his favorite characters in the Thomas series.
Yes, that's right. Alongside James and Toby. And honestly, I prefer Bill and Ben's CGI model over the actual television series model that were used because I do love the red wheels that they gave them. It's just a unique take on the characters, and I love that a lot.
It is like it is. It definitely is and such. Pretty much. Let's go ahead and see like let's go ahead and read like the book that debuted both Bill and Ben and BoCo, and pretty much see like if their introductions pretty much hold up very well to this day and such.
Yep. So who's gonna go first this time?
If I remember correctly, I think you went first with Crosspatch when we did.
Yes, that's right.
When we did Very Old Engine.
That's right.
Right. All right. So pretty much, I'll go first with the very first story of Mainline Engines with the Diesel. So here we go. Alrighty. Pretty much we start out the story with pretty much a little introduction about who Bill and Ben are, what kind of engines they are, and what type of work they do as well. Pretty much like we get a little information about them, like delivering trucks of China clay into the harbor and everything, shunting them for the big engines, or at least shunting them for the crew to like put them on a ship and take elsewhere and everything. And pretty much once that introduction is out of the way, we get the story started with Bill and Ben finding out that the trucks that like they originally, shunted in the siding and everything have mysteriously vanished. Surprised and everything, the drivers actually take a look at the track and notice that like a diesel has pretty much came into the yard and most likely took the trucks due to the patch of oil they found on the tracks and everything. Bill and Ben are actually a little confused about like what the drivers are saying. Pretty much just like, what did you say? I think our driver said that the diesel came in and such. Pretty much Bill and Ben was just like, are we in Spanish? Are we suffering the Spanish flu again and everything? Because yeah. Honestly, I do love this little. Honestly, this moment right here really does sum up like what kind of characters Bill and Ben are and everything. Just like pretty much like being confused on what a diesel is, like thinking that like what their drivers really meant to say was like really meant to say like a diesel came in and everything, and pretty much just having a little banner about like, okay, we're bringing the diesel in this time. Well, I mean, I had a call from my smokebox the other day before I cleaned it. So you gave the vitamin to the diesel. It's your fault. It's your fault that the virus came in. And pretty much the driver was just like, okay, stop being on the internet, brats. And then pretty much after that little tangent is over and such, that's when the drivers and firemen are just like, all right, well, let's go and rescue our trucks and such. And Bill and Ben are just like, where are you, man? Where are you, man? Where did this diesel try to kill us and such? And the driver's just like, if the diesel ever does try to kill you, I'm going to be very impressed. And then pretty much like before they set their plans into motion and everything, they have to take away. The driver decided to take away both their names and their numbers actually, which actually is something that like always kind of confused me a little bit as a kid. Because like,
all right, let me address this. Let me address the number situation.
Pretty much the number confusion, I guess we could say in this one.
Confusion. All right. So when season 2 was in production back in 1985, the twins were gonna have numbers. Actually, there's a behind the scenes photo in the wiki where you can see they have a number 1 and a number 2.
Oh, nice.
However, when production started on the episode, they took them away because I think this is just my opinion. I think the crew saw that the numbers didn't look that well on them, so they decided to remove them.
That's a little interesting, honestly.
That's just what I think happened.
Okay. Honestly, honestly, I could also see that like maybe the number plates that like that they did put on the twins, maybe like they kept like falling off or something, to a point where like David May was just like, you know what, fuck numbers, and pretty much just like threw them away and such. So pretty much no numbers for Bill and Ben, just nameplates.
Yeah, so yeah, it looks like they forgot to remove that line when Ringo Starr was in the recording studio.
Well, actually, not just Ringo Starr, but even like George Carlin also mentioned this as well too. Like, and pretty much, so pretty much like both like George Carlin and Ringo Starr also brought the numbers as well too. But now that we know and everything, then all right. So originally, yes, in the models, Bill and Ben were going to have numbers, but again, David Mann was just like, fuck numbers, all right? I don't know how to count, and throws them away.
Yeah, it's because the numbers were painted on them. They weren't stickers actually. They were painted on. If you look at the illustration from where we're taking away the nameplates, where they're taking away the number 1. That's where the number 1 was painted on Bill.
Okay.
Painted, so, and I think the crew thought that it didn't look that well, so they removed them before the episode began production.
Oh, okay. Actually, it's a little interesting because, like, I do believe, like, the next time we do see Bill and Ben, like, rather having a number placed on them, I think they do have their numbers painted on them instead.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
All right. So that's actually a little interesting right there. So, anyway, all right. So pretty much back to the story and such. So once the nameplates and the numbers are gone and everything, Bill and Ben like finally found the trucks with the diesel and everything. Pretty much. So like, I think they said that like. I think either Bill or Ben like hit, and then like Bill like pretty much came boldly up beside the
Ben went up front and then Ben went on front to the diesel.
Okay, so all right, so pretty much Bill Hyde and Ben went up front to the diesel and everything. Pretty much as soon as he came face to face with the diesel was just like, "Can I help you?" And then basically Bill was just like, "Yeah, can I have my trucks, please?" And the diesel was just like, "Sorry, these are mine. Fuck off." And then pretty much Bill look at the diesel, just be like, "So you have chosen death, I've seen." And he quietly chuffs away. And yeah, pretty much as soon as it starts and everything. Actually, this is the one change that like the TV series did with the Railway series, because in the Railway series, basically the twins just like run around and around on the track and everything. pretty much preventing BoCo from leaving and everything. Where pretty much in the TV series, they just go like back and forth on their own tracks and everything. Just pretty much being like, hi, 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 and then BoCo's just like, stop! Oh my God, stop! Stop! You're making me giddy. I think I'm seriously gonna throw up now. I don't know why I can't just leave the fucking middle truck and everything, but stop! Yeah.
Oh my
and
god.
so and so pretty much like literally on BoCo's first day and everything, he pretty much he has to be terrorized by two little demons and such. Ah, poor guy. But luckily and everything, that's when Base Store Reliable Edward came into the yard. And pretty much she's just like, Bill and Ben, I'm giving you 3 seconds to tell me what you're doing in the yard before I get the paddle ready. And then pretty much Bill and Ben's just like, oh, forgive us, Edward, all right? We're just here rescuing our trucks and everything. And Edward's just like, what the fuck are you on and such?
Well, you don't take our trucks without asking, but this stupid Diesel did. Even you don't take our trucks without our permission, you know.
And pretty much like I also like how both in the railway series and the TV series, Edward doesn't really explain why BoCo's taking the trucks. He just basically just be like, oh, there's no cause to be rude, all right? Don't you know that this engine is a Metric Vulcan Vickers Diesel Electric Type 2 and everything? And I'm guessing that like the twins forgot all about like why they were crossed to begin with, because they're just like, holy shit. We don't even know what the fuck that is, but we're sorry, okay? We didn't know any better, and everything. Like, like I said, like I kind of was surprised. Edward doesn't even bother explaining like why BoCo was taking the trucks to begin with. He's just pretty much he's just like, oh yeah, let me tell you what this diesel name is and everything. That'll explain everything. Pretty much if I was Bill and Ben, I would just be like, Edward, we don't care what kind of engine this diesel is. We want to know why he stole our trucks.
I think Edward is the principal of the branch line, and Bill and Ben are like the students.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, yeah. Like, honestly, that's not really too far off, considering that, yeah, pretty much throughout this whole book and everything, even though it's called Mainline Entrance and such, like, most of the story like basically revolves around Edward and his branch line and such, which is actually very interesting. It's something that a lot of Thomas fans usually point out. When it comes to this book and such,
which I loved, don't get me wrong, I love being on Edward's branch line.
Same here, honestly, and everything. So yeah, like thankfully with all the confusion out of the way, the Diesel introduced himself as BoCo. He apologizes for not understanding about the trucks and everything. So Edward's just like, oh, that's okay. Bill and Ben, why don't you fence BoCo's cars, and how about you take my lot instead? And Bill and Ben's just like, yes, sir. And pretty much they just scampered away. Before they do and everything, basically Edward does put in a good word for Bill and Ben, saying that like they don't really mean any harm per se and everything, but pretty much they could be terrorists and everything if they're not checked properly.
Terrorists.
I mean, like in a way and everything, he's not totally wrong. That's kind of basically what he's saying and such in a way.
Fair point.
Yeah, because even BoCo's just like, yeah, I think that's the right word to call these little fuckheads. And then pretty much that's where the first story comes to an end. And honestly, for like the first story and everything, introducing to the twins, it does a very good job on like introducing like who Bill and Ben are and everything. Introducing a new part of the railway that we have not seen yet in the series and such. And honestly, like the humor throughout this whole book was pretty much spot on and everything. Again, like just getting an idea of like. Who Bill and Ben's characters are and everything, like their little banter about whose fault it is that the Diesel came in and such, and even having poor BoCo being being again like trying to move out of the way, but the twins like would not let him leave and everything. And like I said, they're just keeping running around and around on the track and everything until basically BoCo just like finally caves in and everything. Like honestly, even though I do like the TV series and everything about about pretty much like how they handle that scene too, especially with the music and everything. I think the Railway series actually makes that scene a little bit more funnier and even like better as well too. Just seeing like BoCo trying his very best to trying to get away and everything, but he can't move because of these twins and such. Whereas again, like in the TV series and everything, he can just move anytime he wants. Like he literally did not have to stay.
Stopping him from moving.
Yeah. Like I said, like what's stopping him from moving and everything? Like he pretty much didn't need to see like the twins just like keep going back and forth all all the freaking time and everything. Like unless like maybe he thinks that like if he moves and everything, and the twins will just start following him. until like he starts to rail or something. So maybe that's why he doesn't move. But honestly, yeah, I do think that I do think the the Railway series actually do a much better job on I like with the scene, I like just trying to like torment poor BoCo and everything. So yeah, like I said, just lots of very good, just lots of very good humor, full of good laughs within the story as well too. And yeah, just even seeing Edward's role and how he handles Bill and Ben as well too. Pretty much there's no wonder on how Bogo was able to pick up some of Edward's little charm and elite, or at least I should say skills. I should say on how Bogo was able to pick up skills and everything. Because we are going to see later in the same book and everything that Bogo also used those same skills on Bill and Ben as well too, and it works as well too. So pretty much that's another one. That's another one thing for Edward as well too. We could definitely see how he and Bogo remain good friends and such. Pretty much even right in the beginning of this book as well too, which is actually very interesting.
Indeed.
And also as well too. Yeah, pretty much throughout the first story and everything, unlike Daisy and unlike Diesel and everything as well too. Actually the only other Diesel that made a very good first impression within the book and everything that was actually Rusty and such. Both Rusty and BoCo, the minute you see them and everything, they're not the type of Diesels and everything I want to show off or feel disappear to steam engines or anything like that. Pretty much even within the first scene that we see of BoCo and everything, you can see that he's a very kind engine and everything, and he's also very patient. He's also very understanding as well too. Honestly, yeah, you can tell right off the bat and everything. Much like how this book makes a first good impression on Bill and Ben, it also makes a very good first impression on BoCo as well too. Enough to where the readers and everything, or those that grew up with the Railway series as well too, probably want to see what else BoCo can do and everything. And honestly, that's a good sign right there.
Indeed, it really is. Honestly, I was gonna say, I prefer, in terms of who did it better in terms of Bill and Ben playing their trick on BoCo. I'm gonna go with the TV series. I do love the version in the book, but there's just something about the TV version, especially with that music.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. I think the TV series, honestly, I still give the TV series credit for making the prank go on for as long as they needed to, especially with the music as well too. Honestly, I felt that scene went on just long enough and everything for everyone to get the joke as well, and pretty much just laugh along with Bill and Ben, and even laugh along with BoCo as well too. When he found out that oh, you guys are just twins then.
You know something about the TV version? Do you know something about the TV version that I love as well?
What's that?
When Ben is getting close to BoCo, you hear that piano.
Yeah.
Man, that piano man.
Honestly, I would not be surprised if either Mike or Junior or even both probably watched one too many Jaws movies and everything, and he was just I think I know the and they were just I think we know the very perfect music to use for this scene right here.
Yeah, and it worked. It works perfectly.
It did. It did. It worked very well and everything. Just seeing this long ass Diesel and everything. Even with Bill and Ben getting a little growth in the TV series and everything. Pretty much you could tell when compared to the twins and the Diesels that BoCo is very huge. Pretty much he is very tall when compared to the twins and such.
Oh yeah, he's humongous.
He is. So anyway, I don't have too much to say on the story and everything. For the first story and everything, it's full of very good laughs. Has very good first impressions and everything, all of the characters and such. So for my rating for the Diesel, I'm going to give it an 8.
Oh wow, not bad. That's actually a good rating, actually.
Yeah, honestly, I really can't think of anything negative or anything even a minor nitpick that I had with the story and everything. I brought it down a little bit. Pretty much everything that's happening within the story and everything just flowed through really nicely and such. And honestly, just one of few stories and everything whether it's reading it from the Railway series or the TV series and it or anything like that. It's one of those stories where actually I don't mind watching it again and again whenever I'm in the mood for it.
Me neither. Honestly, to me, I love this story. I think you said everything I was gonna say. So to not sound like a broken record, I'm just gonna give my rating and give a short summary as to why I like this story.
All right, go right ahead.
To me, This version is a 9.
Wow. Okay. 1 point higher then.
I love this story. There's just something about Bill and Ben that I just love. Like when you have those two characters, you're in for a good time. Especially in this story, because you get to see how very cheeky they can be at times.
Oh yeah, definitely.
When you push them to their limits, they'll get you back with some teasing.
Oh, oh yeah, they definitely will. I mean, like I said, we definitely saw that right here, like within the scene with the BoCo and such.
Yep. And
actually, we're definitely going to see that as well too once we get to another story within this book.
Oh yeah, totally. And yeah, I do love BoCo. I do love BoCo's role in this book. He's just trying to do his work, and then he's like, can I help you?"
Yeah, but then Bill or Ben was just like, "Yeah, can I have my trucks, please?" And BoCo's just like, "No, fuck off."
I wish if the Railway Studios was R-rated, that's what he would definitely say.
Pretty much like if Thomas and Friends was made by Adult Swim.
Yeah, these are mine. Fuck off.
Fuck off. And then Bill is just like, "So you have chosen death, I've seen."
But yeah, I love this story. To not sound like a broken record, yeah, you said everything I was gonna say. I agree with everything you said. I love this story. So yeah, 9 for me, 8 for you.
Nice, alrighty.
Okay, next story, and this one I'm gonna try not to let my bias roll in because I something happened in real life that made me change my thoughts on this story.
Yeah, but ladies and gentlemen, we are gonna talk about Buzz.
Buzz. All right. So Buzz starts off with BoCo arranging his trucks in at the big station. Then he goes to the shed and asks if he can come in. But Doc is like, "Uh-oh, warning, Diesel."
But that's okay because all BoCo needed to do was say the magic words, Bill and Ben, and then Doug was just like, "Go on."
And then the two of them just start laughing together like old friends. And BoCo asks him like, "Do they ever play tricks on you?" And Doc is like, "Oh, of course, Edward is the only one that can keep them in order. He's the principal of the branch, you know something."
And pretty much as we all know, when Edward says something, you do as Edward says.
Yeah, do not push him to his limits. If you push Edward, you better get the fuck out of the island.
Yeah, pretty much. Or at the very least, like, if you don't listen to Edward, Edward's just like, "Well, let me know when Karma decides to bite you in the ass." Then.
Yep. So then Duck tells BoCo that he nicknamed Bill and Ben the Bees, and BoCo's like, "Oh, that's a good nickname. They're terrorists when they start buzzing around." Then out of nowhere, James comes in and he's like, "What's that? You're afraid of bees? What the fuck? They're just insects. So don't let that stupid Box Diesel tell you different." And Doug is like, "What? Hey! His name is BoCo, and he didn't say that. I don't give a shit. If hundreds of those bastards were swarming around, I'll just blow smoke and make them buzz off." And then the usual buzz. And they're just like, "Fuck off, asshole."
Pretty much James is just like, "The fuck's that supposed to mean?"
Then the next day, James is supposed to take the express, and while Duck is arranging the coaches, the platform was very crowded, and there were two porters taking a trolley to the front van. Fred, the one in the front was named Fred, and the one in the back was named Bert. Fred was in a big hurry, and he didn't listen to Bert to slow down. Suddenly, there's an old lady in front, and Fred stops dead. The luggage slips forward, and a white wooden box opens, and some bees flew out. And I gotta stop right there. What the fuck is a beehive doing in a trolley?
I mean, honestly, like, yeah, if you think about it, like, long and hard and everything, like, what the fuck order a beehive to begin with and such? And, like, I mean, at the very least, like, wouldn't you want to put it in a box or something, or in a crate, just to make sure something like that didn't happen?
Yeah, but what the fuck is that doing on a passenger trolley? I don't get it, but I'm not gonna question it. And then the bees come out, and someone shouts a warning, and the platform just clears like magic.
Pretty much it just, everyone was just like, "No, bye."
Yep. I love it better in the TV series where you just see everybody running away like jackasses.
and actually also like as well too how like that one passenger, a porter, actually looks back as well too before he says like, "Yep, no, bye."
He falls and it's like, "Nope, bye."
Yeah.
Yeah. Then the bees are too sleepy to be crossed. Thankfully, the station is very cold for them. So they swarm around the firemen, hoping that he can mend their hide. But the farmer is like, no, 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 get away, get away, get away, get away! Ah! And he goes into the cab and he puts his jacket on. The driver didn't understand either. He swatted at the beast with the sword, like, get the fuck away from me! Shoot! Shoot!
Yeah, pretty much. Sadly, this is not the bee movie where pretty much like somehow humans can actually talk to bees and such.
Yeah.
So pretty much. Sadly, there's not one bee that can ask a driver or a fireman, "Hey, do you like jazz?"
Well, the bees are very disappointed, but they turn their attention to James, and they finally found their warm spot. But James is like, buzz off, or as Michelangelo would say, buzz off, buzz off.
Or pretty much as George Carlin would say, buzz off, buzz off.
And so James blows smoke, but that does nothing. Suddenly, one bee goes into the smoke box and burns its feet. And the bee thinks James burnt them on purpose, and I think you know what happened.
Yep.
It stung James back, right on the nose. And here we go.
Pretty much like if only really Willie Washington actually made it sound like that. Sadly, when James gets stung by a nose, like he actually acts like he just got it. He actually acts like he just got his toe stub or something.
Yeah, which I'll be honest, like if this was before season 3, so I'm gonna say that he didn't do that very well. And Michelangelo isn't better either.
Yeah, honestly, I think George Carlin did. I think George Carlin did a much better job on like, basically like making it believable that like the scene that like James just got and everything was very painful.
Indeed. So basically, James, his driver and fireman have enough of the bullshit and they go away, without even waiting for the coaches to be coupled. So what ends up happening is that BoCo pulls the express that day. He's worried about leaving the trucks, but Duck promises to look after them. And well, he pulls the express, and the Fat Controller was very pleased with him. And well, this is very interesting because this ending's very interesting. Nobody notices when James come back to the shed because they're too busy talking about a new quote unquote beehive on wheels.
Beehive on wheels.
And it was red, and they said boss, and laughed a lot. And James thinks, oh, those engines are being stupid.
Yes, those engines are being stupid. Now I, like, if an engine fucked up and everything, I would never ridicule them. Isn't that right, Percy? And Percy's just like, don't talk to me.
And well, that was Buzz. Honestly, well, all right. Let me give the story as to why I'm biased towards this story.
Go ahead.
Back in 2019, I was in Sam's. at the cash register. I was gonna pay for some items. Then all of a sudden, a bee lands on my nose. It crashed into my nose, and I freaked out. So I tried to slap it off, and then it stung me.
Yeah.
And let me tell you guys, it was absolutely painful.
I mean, I can imagine. I like pretty much like I like pretty much I can imagine I can imagine B just being like, "Oh, you want to slap me? Take this."
Yeah. Thankfully, I managed to get the stinger out just in time, but still, it was one of the most painful experiences I've ever had. Because up until that point, I was never stung. I avoided bees with all I could, but yeah, that was the only time I've been stung by a bee, and on the nose, ironically enough. And as soon as that happened, I was like, now I know what James felt like.
Yep.
So, without trying to let my bias get into my opinions on the story, I love this story. This story to me is the best story out of the book. It goes to show that when you have a big mouth, even if you have a big mouth, you gotta stay quiet. Otherwise, karma will get you in the butt.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, that's the rule. That's the rule for the island of Sora. Like, pretty much, like if you dare to talk smack about anything, even if it's just to boost your own ego, sooner or later, karma's gonna bite you in the ass.
Yeah, honestly, I like both versions, the TV series and this version, but I'm gonna lean more towards this version because the ending on this one is just fucking amazing. Because the ending where basically everybody's laughing at James. Basically, I love that because James did deserve it.
He did. He definitely did and such. And honestly, the ending of the book does make sense and everything as well too, because honestly, like pretty much like we already introduced what the theme or the conflict's going to be in the story. Conflict already happens and everything. So pretty much I like to imagine Wilbur was just like, well, the conflict already happened and everything. So there's really no need for me to delve into this too much. So pretty much he decided, you know what, I'm just gonna add this little joke in the end and I mean, like, honestly, and everything, the joke and everything that he did put in the end was definitely well worth it and such. And also more well too. Like the story also is also more of a continuation about what's happening with BoCo now that he just arrived on the island and everything, and pretty much as we also saw in this story as well too, we can see just how much of a hard worker BoCo is. Even to the point where the Fat Controller is just like, yep, I think I found my new engine.
Yep, and honestly, this story's also very short, like very short.
It is much like with Percy and Trousers again. Like, it introduces a conflict already happens, and then pretty much that's it. Like, yeah, story over. But honestly, unlike with Percy and Trousers and everything, even though the story is short and such, like it's still very much well paced enough to where sometimes you don't even feel like it's short. Like, honestly,
No, and it's very well done as well. Like, very well done. Like, you don't even notice how short it is because you're too busy laughing at James.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you're too busy laughing at James. You're also you're also basically like admiring like the visuals like in the story as well too. I mean, like especially in the station as well too. Like pretty much Barney and I were talking about this off screen, and I definitely do agree with him. This is easily one of Peter's like best works in terms of like just this book overall and everything. Like, he really captured a lot of the chaotic and the energetic like scene that was going on within the station in of itself.
To me, at the very least, this is my favorite book he's done. Personal favorite book that he's done of the series.
I mean, same here. Like, even when reading the story and even seeing like the expression of both the fireman and the driver as well too. As soon as the beast started breaking out of the hive, like I pretty much he really captured he really captured both the humor and like the semi like intense situation happening within the scene as well too. Because honestly, like if I was in that station and like a lot of bees were also swarming away too, I would also be very scared as well too. I would also run out of that station as fast as I can.
Oh, same here. Well, I should get this out of the way. If it was wasps, I would have get better.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, if it was wasps or definitely hornets, then I would definitely run out. Honestly, I would run out of the way, get into my car, and never go back to that station ever again.
No, me neither. You know what hornet I would definitely be terrified of?
What kind of hornet?
I don't know if you heard about this one. The Japanese giant hornet.
Yeah, I pretty much had a feeling like, yeah, you were bringing that up. But I mean, like, to be honest, if I ever saw that thing in real life, I'd just be like, yeah, no.
Yeah, I'm not going to fuck that. Yeah, I will run the fuck away from it because those are very terrifying.
They are definitely very, very terrifying.
And they're huge, humongous as well.
They are, like, yeesh.
Yikes. But thank God they were bees, and the bees were very sleepy, so thank God.
I mean, yeah, they got it was only just that one bee that got stunned. Actually, yeah, it's kind of ironic. Like the bee stunned James because James stunned the bee verse and such. And so pretty much James was very lucky that it was only just that one bee that burned his foot and everything because like literally if all the other bees started burning their feet and everything, like pretty much James will have more than just a stunned nose at the end of the day.
Oh, totally. And well, I should bring this up as a little fun fact that this episode, well, a Buzz in terms of the TV episode, that was the only time the show ever used hand drawn animation.
Pretty much, yeah, and like I pretty much like I said and everything too. Like pretty much when I was a kid, and like anytime like that scene came up and everything, like I pretty much no joke. And I think all the other Thomas fans can like back me up on this one as well too. But pretty much like that bee used to terrify me as a kid, especially with the way that like it was coming like straight at the TV and everything right before I got James writing the notes and everything. So pretty much I gotta give props to both David Minton and pretty much also like the animator that like drew the bee and everything.
Peter Chang was his name.
Peter Chang. Well, pretty much both David Minton and Peter Chang. Congratulations on making me terrified of bees and such. You've done your job well.
Yeah, I love in the TV episode that the bee goes up and James looks up like, where to go?
and then as soon as the bee, honestly, it's almost kind of like a Tom and Jerry cartoon when you kind of think about it, because like James is like, where is it? And then as soon as the bee comes in and everything, all hell's gonna break loose.
Yeah, and that sound, yeah, terrifying, absolutely terrifying.
I mean, yeah, like pretty much like, and yeah, pretty much as soon as like you get stunned right in the nose and everything, like I like again, George Carlin said it best.
I can't do it. Only he can do it. Rest in peace.
Yeah. And then pretty much like the bee turned James into a circus clown.
Yep, totally. But yeah, honestly, Buzz to me is my favorite story from the book. Without letting my bias as to what happened in real life to me trying to get into the way of my opinions on the story. To me, the story's a 10, easily.
Actually, you know what? I agree with you. The story's 10 for me as well too, because honestly, every time I go back, whether it be this book or especially the TV series as well too, like every time I watch the TV series as well too, like I always make sure like I don't get my own bias, like judge my rating when it comes to like watching that episode, but every time I see the TV series version of the episode as well too, I always still enjoy it from beginning to end and everything. I like honestly, no joke. I think that's the best season 3 episode. Like outside of like Escape and everything, is easily one of the best episodes that David Mamet has ever filmed for season 3 and
Oh,
such.
absolutely. I think to me, in my opinion at least, that's one of my favorite season 3 episodes, alongside Edward, Trevor, and the Releasable Party.
Mm-hmm.
I
Honestly, yeah. It's very interesting that you brought that up because, yeah, yeah. That episode actually came right after Edward, Trevor, and a really useful party. So we actually got to see Trevor twice in a row in like season 3 and everything.
Yeah, and so yeah, like you said, Buzz is very well filmed. Like that's the reason why David Bennett was such a good director, because he knows what he wants.
Pretty much, yeah. And actually, you saw it right too in the episode, like pretty much in the beginning where Trevor's chugging along the orchard and you see James chugging along as well too. It's a pretty good shot as well too, and pretty much I also like in the same way that the TV series did for Scar for Percy as well too. This is another episode where I think like Britton David did like a very good job on adapting the book as well too and making it like its own little thing. Seeing that season 2 had already finished, had already filmed and had already filmed like the majority of like the stories in like mainline entrance and such. And pretty much BoCo was already accepted into the railway as well too. So pretty much yeah, like there's really no need for Duck to even be hesitated when seeing BoCo, seeing it they're already friends at that point and such. What's actually in the book series as well too, and this is something that the Unlucky Tug also pointed out as well too. Yeah, pretty much you could see right away just how much just how very different BoCo is when compared to the other diesels as well. Because pretty much if BoCo can make someone like Duck even laugh to a point where they're starting to act like old friends and everything, that really says a lot about BoCo as a character as well too. It really does show you just how patient and how loving and how honestly he's the type of diesel engine actually not just a diesel engine, he's just the type of engine period to where anytime you see him and everything you're gonna have a good time with him.
Oh, totally, absolutely. I agree with that statement. And
Yeah, go ahead, you first.
I was gonna say, and yeah, that's why I give the story a 10, because not only is because of James, because James is the MVP of the story easily,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also because all right, if you would have asked me back in 2018 before I got stung, I still would have rated this story very high, but because I got stung, that changed my opinion of the story.
Yeah, and honestly, to me and everything, reading the book on Buzz and everything, pretty much Buzz as a book, it's still a very fascinating story as well too. It's it's a very fun story in of its own self as well too. Honestly, it's one of the few times where honestly I can appreciate both the book version and the TV series version for different reasons. Pretty much I can appreciate the book version for continuing off where the disease left off and everything, and showing off on how much BoCo has learned, or at least I should say not learn, but pretty much show how well BoCo gets along with the other engines as well too. Even if James dismisses him and everything, calls him a buzzbox diesel and such and everything, pretty much you can still see that BoCo still is still slowly being loved by all the other steam engines along the railway as well too. Even seeing him pulling the express as well too, and having a fat controller, also being very impressed by BoCo's hardworking nature as well too. It says a lot about BoCo as a character as well too, and honestly, I think the Wilbert, the Wilbert Audrey and everything, definitely show up just enough about how very useful and how much of a fun character BoCo is. Within the same story where James is getting stung by a bee as well too.
Indeed, indeed.
And pretty much like I also said as well too. I also appreciate the humor in the story. Honestly, in terms of the station scene, I definitely have to give the book series I definitely have to give both the book series and even Peter Edward tons of credit for bringing out bringing out all the action within those two scenes and of itself as well too. Just the moment you saw the fireman's head poking out and everything, as soon as the beehive breaks open and everything as well too, pretty much like you can tell in his head, he's just like, oh god, I better get away, and then pretty much in that same page where you see like the driver trying to swat the beast away again, like pretty much that illustration right here, right there, brings you a lot of laughs. It brings you a lot of laughs. It brings you a lot of good joy as well too. That it pretty much like it kind of like destroys the TV series version in a way where like even though I do like the TV series version about like how all the other passengers are like running away as fast as they can as well too. Honestly, it doesn't really capture the same amount of like chaotic and like frightful scene that like the book like shows off and everything.
Oh yeah, I have to agree with you there. I do love both versions though. Both versions have their own strengths.
They do honestly, and like one strength that like the TV series does have is like honestly the same way as like the book does as well too. I definitely do love how the TV series also sets up the theme in the beginning, where pretty much like again we have James and Trevor, having a short little chat in the orchard where James learns about the beehives and everything, about how like one of them is probably going to be sent off to a friend and everything as well too. Which honestly like it really does paint like a very good. Which honestly, like, it really does paint like a very good like action as well too. Like, it actually does do a good job on transitioning to the next scene where pretty much like James is gonna encounter one of those beehives and everything, and like this way he's gonna get stung by a bee. And pretty much, I also like how in the TV series, like, they also add up a little bit as well too by having a driver and fireman and even James like doing all they can to try to get rid of the bees. Whether that be like spinning James around on a turntable, which honestly I like to imagine James just like thinking to himself, "Oh God, here we go again." Which pretty much like I imagine the drivers just be like, "It's either this or you're gonna get stung by more bees." All right. And also well too. I also like when that didn't work. They tried washing the bees away with water, but the bees are just like, "Ha, we're waterproof this time."
And they tried going through a long tunnel, but that still doesn't work.
Yeah, no, that still doesn't work. The bees are just like, "Nope, we're still staying right here," and the driver's just like. Oh yeah, we can always just go to another hive, James. And actually, I love like actually this is one humor I never got as a kid, but now as an adult, like pretty much James is just like, motherfucker, why couldn't I do this before?
But he can't. But the bees, but the buzzing of the bees drowns whatever the fuck he's gonna say.
Yeah, pretty much. Which honestly, that's good humor right there. That's a good humor for the adults as well. So pretty much GG on like Britt and David for that line right there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean honestly, the TV series actually does a very good job on wrapping up the story as well too. Which honestly, like I do understand why some people like also prefer the books ending a little bit more because like in terms of the context in the book and everything. James actually did deserve the karma he got at the end, and like it does make the interaction in the end even all the more funny as well too. Just having the answers being like buzz 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 and such,
and laughing hysterically. Yeah,
pretty much.
The TV ending is not bad. It's still pretty funny as well. But there's just something about the book version that just demolishes the.
Honestly, I can see why some people might not like the TV series ending too much because like it is kind of cheesy when you kind of think about it, especially where like the figures is like, oh, I guess we call you James Red Nose Engine and such. Which honestly it is cheesy, but to me like it's a good kind of cheesy to where like I could also laugh at it as well too.
Yeah, same here, but I still prefer the book version ending though.
Yeah, same here. Which like I said, like whether it's the TV series version or the book version, I'm giving both versions a 10 and everything because they honestly do deserve it. Like honestly, much like when Thomas comes to breakfast and everything, there's a very good reason why tons of Thomas fans, like even a newer generation, like remembers this story to this day. And it's actually no wonder why, like the TV series in of itself and everything, like will end up spawning like a merchandise of the Buzz Buzz James from Tomy and such,
and Wooden Railway as well.
And Wooden Railway as well too. So all right, 10 for me and a 10 for you. So all right, now that we're done with Buzz Buzz, it's time that we move on to the next story, which is Wrong Road.
Wrong Road, take it away.
All righty, so all right, so for this story and everything, we pretty much we get Thomas's only cameo in the book and everything, and pretty much the Wilbur's just like, all right, here's your check, no, don't come back anymore, okay? And Thomas just like, yeah, sure.
No promises.
No promises and such. And Weber's just like, oh my god, I have to get ready for him, don't I? Which it's going to be a little bit of a foreshadowing. So be on the lookout for that. Mm-hmm. Anyway, after Thomas's little cameo and everything, Pretty much the story starts off by explaining that Walt Thomas's and Walt both Thomas and Edward's branch lines are very important. Just like those on the main line. Because the tracks and bridges are not as strong as those on the main line, pretty much only engines like Thomas and Edward are allowed to run on them. And pretty much if a mainline engine was to run on them, they would have to go very, very slowly and such.
Except if this is the hit era.
Yeah. Except you're in a hit era. Pretty much if you're in a hit era, pretty much you go on the branch line, it's just no problem and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at least in terms of the railway series and everything, yeah, no, pretty much like if Gordon wants to go on like Edwards or even Thomas's branch line, pretty much you have to go very slowly if he wants to live and such.
Yeah.
Which are pretty much yeah. As we get to the next scene and everything, we get to hear Gordon complain about how branch line diesels are allowed to pull like a mainline express and everything. Which I was just like, oh, Gordon, all right, stop being a big baby, okay? Maybe you would be a good boy and everything. Maybe BoCo will allow you to pull his train and everything. And Gordon's just like, I'm not going to pull BoCo's sturdy trucks. I don't even like him like that. And Edward's just like, yeah, sure. And Gordon's just like, shut up, all right? I don't like him, okay?
Branch lines are vulgar.
Yeah, branch lines are vulgar, as he puts it. So this is where pretty much the first time when I read this story as well too, I had to do a double take just to make sure I didn't skip a page or anything. Because honestly, this is one change I'm glad the TV series did and everything. But pretty much, yeah, in the next page and everything, we get a little bit of a skip about how there's a new environment and everything that's new to the job and everything, and he's gonna be with Gordon's train and such. The train that like both he and Edward pulls together. Well, not necessarily together. Basically, like what happened and everything is that like
I'll explain. Every night there's two fast trains to the junction. Gordon's is the first one to leave at 6:25. Edward follows at 6:30 for the branch line. And usually everything runs like clockwork, but something happened on one night. Go ahead and explain.
Yeah. So pretty much again, lady strikes again and such, because as the fireman noticed that like it was almost getting ready, it was almost time for Gordon to leave and everything. He does a quick little check back just to make sure that like the guard didn't wave his green flag or anything. He didn't see the guard, but he did saw something green waving, and he thought, and somehow he thought that like the guard was waving his flag all without blowing his whistle and such. So the fireman was just like, all right, yeah, let's get going and everything. But that was his biggest mistake, because as soon as Gordon left and everything, all the passengers were just like, what the fuck, man? And so pretty much by the time that like Gordon was brought back, the Fat Controller was just like, well, Gordon, now you're just gonna have to stay behind, all right? Because Edward needs to pull his train now. So pretty much like as soon as like Edward starts, like everything should have gone as planned, but the Fat Controller had forgot to tell the Singleman about the change. So pretty much you can guess what happened. Edward was pulling his passengers on the main line, and Gordon had to take Edward's branch line and such. And because of that, once the passengers also found out that Fat Controller was just like, Butler, they got my last will just in case if I don't make it out of this, okay? but thankfully the Fat Controller survives this one and everything. Somehow he was actually able to calm all the angry passengers and everything. Honestly, my bet is like he probably gave him like a 2-for-1 deal. Or pretty much he probably gave him a lot of free passes to like travel on the next for the next travel and everything. Because pretty much that like sooner or later like all the passengers would get to their destinations on time and such. But because of that, now that Edward is stuck on Edward's branch line, he has to take one of his sidings and such, and pretty much take a rest over there.
Now that Gordon, you mean Gordon, not Edward?
Gordon, yeah, pretty much, yes. So pretty much Gordon takes a rest on Edward's branch line and such, and pretty much by next morning and such, two little terrorists come into the yard, aka Bill and Ben. As soon as Bill and Ben realized there's no trucks, but as soon as they saw Gordon, they took a look at each other and it's just like, are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Yeah.
You got the knife ready?
Yeah, let's do this.
No, but I got the gun.
Yeah, let's do this.
Let's do this. And so pretty much Bill and Ben, much like what they did to BoCo, they crept side by side at Gordon, and pretty much they look at each other and be like, what's that? This Gordon? No, it can't be. Gordon doesn't come on the branch lines. He's too proud for that kind of shit. And Gordon's just like, I'm not listening.
If it isn't Gordon, It's just a pile of old iron, which we better take to the scrapyard.
And then Gordon's just like, oh, wait, no, I ain't going, I
No,
ain't
no,
going,
no, no,
stop,
wait, wait,
stop,
wait, wait.
stop.
No, we're missing the best line. No, Bill, this lot's useless for scrap. We'll take it to the harbor and dump it in the fucking sea.
And that's what Gordon's just like, wait, no, I ain't going, stop. But sadly, Bill and Ben keep on going and everything. Pretty much they keep on going back and forth about what will be better, scrapping or drowning Gordon and everything. And Gordon's just like, I don't approve of any of this, please, stop. But luckily for Gordon, his savior comes into the rescue in the form of BoCo and such. Honestly, okay, I'm gonna take a little break right here, and honestly, I will say that honestly, in terms of like in the book version and everything, I do think the whole scene of like Bill and Ben going back and forth between like what they should do with Gordon and everything, and even the part about like Gordon disapproving of Diesel as well too. Honestly, it felt like that kind of stuff was a little bit more filler, if anything. Like, honestly, it was one. Honestly, it was one part of the book where I'm kind of glad like the TV series like I honestly cut that out and everything because honestly, it's not really all that needed all too much.
Yeah, it's. I will have to agree with you there. It's kind of filler because we could just skip straight to BoCo after BoCo arriving because it's
because like pretty much Bill Ben have already scared Gore and everything as well too. So pretty much it's pretty much cute BoCo coming in and everything, and Gordon is just like, BoCo, my dear engine, please save me. And BoCo is just like, Bill and Ben, and Bill and Ben's just like, oh god, sorry, Daddy, let's get out of here, Bill. We're right behind you, Ben. And pretty soon. Well, actually, at first, like Bill and Ben was just like, "Huh, you can't stop us. We're about to take Gordon to the sea." And then BoCo's just like, "Oh yeah, well good. I can put your trucks in the sea with Gordon." And Bill and Ben's just like, "Shit,
no,
wild again."
Let us take them away, please. And that made them better once.
Yeah, pretty much. And so pretty much after that, Gordon's just like, oh my god, thank you, you're my lord and savior. And pretty much BoCo's just like, okay, but it's kind of getting a little awkward now, all right? It's just an act. Yeah. And pretty much even the narrator is just like, but we know the twins were only teasing, right?
Right.
And pretty much I like to imagine Bill and Ben was just like, sure, yeah, you were teasing.
Damn.
But anyway, yeah, so that was Ron Road and such. For Ron Road, another good story right here and such. Like, it's a very fine story that, like, I really don't have too much to say, honestly, and everything. But this story definitely does have lots of fun humor as well too. And again, very great illustration as well too. Especially the part where like Gordon, beats Bill in bed, and even having having Gordon having this terrifying look in his eyes and everything. As soon as like Bill and Ben were getting ready to push him into the sea.
Yes, yeah, that was a good illustration. But to be honest with you, I prefer the TV episode more because of that horrified expression.
Yeah, I mean, same here. Same here. Even pretty much even the TV series as well too. Like, honestly, they added a lot more humor with that scene. As soon as you saw Gordon be like, "Oh shit, I am Gordon! Stop!" And honestly, like both Ringo Starr and even George Carlin like delivered those lines very perfectly. Honestly.
Yeah, definitely. I think both did a good job. I'm gonna lean more towards Ringo, but I think both did a spectacular job with that line.
Yeah. Pretty much the same here, honestly, and everything. And honestly, again, even the TV series did a good job on introducing BoCo as well again too. Because again, like Gordon's just like, BoCo, please save me and such. But yeah, like pretty much the story offers like a good amount of laughs and everything, mostly from like Bill and Ben as well too. And again, like this is another story as well too. We're pretty much like again, like we can see just how much of a strong impact like BoCo leaves on the entrance, especially Gordon. Pretty much like BoCo didn't even just say anything. Gordon just took one look at him and just be like, "Yeah, I love this man already. Please save me." Which honestly, that says a lot.
Yeah.
It does. It does say a lot and everything, and even having like him and BoCo being like good friends afterwards and everything. Again, pretty much is no wonder why. Like a lot of the entrants like would end up loving BoCo and pretty much treating him like a family as well too. Because honestly, like throughout the whole story, like BoCo really does act like all the entrants and everything are his friends and family and everything. Which again, much like how Rusty views the Scarlotti entrants as his friends and family as well too.
Indeed. And yeah, I think that scene was handled perfectly, honestly.
Same here, honestly. Like, I like again. Like the only thing I will give a little nitpick is just like again, like It's just again like the whole filler scene with like Bill and Ben arguing about like what to do with Gordon and about like adding a little extra tidbit about like Gordon disapproving of Diesel's. Like honestly, I don't think it was really all that much needed to be honest. But even then and everything like it doesn't really drag the story out too much, or even at the very least ruin it and such. Because like I said, like between like the very great illustrations and like good humor the story does offer, hmm, honestly, I'm gonna give it another 8. Why not? It deserves it.
Yeah, to me, all right. So for me, at least, I do love the story. I really do. But I'll be honest. I think the TV episode is the best option, and I'll explain why.
Yeah, same here, honestly.
I'll explain why. First off, let's go back to the station conflict,
Yeah.
because in the book version, it starts off with them talking about the lady with the green floppy hat, and
Yeah. Which again, like coming from someone that's like way more used to the TV series and everything. The first time I read that page, I was just like, wait, did I skip a page or something?
yeah, because they moved the explanation of the of the trains to the next page, and I'm like, yeah, I can see why they flipped them in the TV episode, because it doesn't make sense. Like, why are you starting with the conflict with the actual conflict instead of explaining what's going on?
Honestly, I think the reason why I think the main reason why Wilbur did that and everything was probably more so because that it's probably more so because like he wanted to introduce the conflict first, and then probably explain like why, and then probably once the passengers start angry and everything, that's when he's like, okay, now let me explain why the passengers are angry and such in the first place.
It kind of makes sense if you think about it, but still, I would have preferred
Yeah.
it the other way. But I digress.
I understand.
I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
Do you think Gordon deserved what he got?
Honestly, and actually, I think I know where you're going. I think I know where you're going with this.
I think you know where you're going. Where I'm going with this.
Yeah. Honestly, okay, like hearing Gordon like bad mouthing the branch line and everything, and him being all high and mighty and such. At the very least, I do think he did deserve a little bit about like being set on like Edward's branch line, considering that like he did make the mistake in the end and everything. And yeah, sure, like pretty much like he, the driver, and fireman could blame the lady all they want and everything. But honestly, when you kind of think about it and everything, I really do think the fireman should at least, either at the very least, look very far back, or at the very least, at the very least, you should have at least waited until like the guard blew his whistle or something like that. Because like I do understand he made a mistake and everything, but honestly, I do think that like yeah, Gordon, I do think Gordon did deserve a little bit about like being teased by Bill and Ben and everything, because like again, as we always stay with this unwritten rule in the Island of Sword and everything. He talks back about anything, karma's gonna bite you in the
Yep,
ass.
you said it best. I think honestly,
Go
I
ahead.
think he deserved. I think he deserved it, because you know what happened.
Yeah, pretty much. Honestly, I would say that like I do think like Bill and Ben's season did also go very far as well too. So like at the very least, like at least like Edward's not playing like favoritisms with anybody. Like pretty much like he's just like Bill and Ben, you did a bad thing, but Gordon, like you also really should have saw that coming.
You're also to blame for what happened.
Pretty much, yeah,
You caused a fucking commotion. Even though it's technically the fireman's fault, but still, I
yeah,
digress.
pretty much.
But yeah, honestly, I prefer the TV episode a little bit more, because mostly because it fixes the problem of the story in terms of in terms of introducing the conflict first, and then actually getting to the conflict. And I also prefer Gordon's expression in the TV episode.
Oh yeah, same here.
Okay, nothing against the illustrations. The illustrations are great as usual, but there's just something about the TV episode that I like. Plus, you got that fucking amazing music of the watermill.
Oh yeah, I mean honestly, like both Britt and David taking a look at that first illustration of like Ron Road and everything, are just like easy. We know what to do with that, and then like pretty much yeah, like you got like a very good like opening in the TV series version.
Yeah, and I also I love you know something I love about season 2 that they didn't do again.
What's that?
You know that bridge that you know that bridge that's very high up.
Oh yeah,
I love that bridge. I'm sad they didn't bring it back, because I love those shots of the bridge.
yeah, same here, honestly.
Yeah, but still.
But I mean, like, hey, at the very least, like, at least they brought the watermill back.
Oh yeah, totally. That's the most iconic one of the most iconic locations of the show, easily.
Uh huh.
But yeah, I was gonna say, overall, I think the book version is still pretty good. I'm also gonna cut a little bit of positives because I do feel like Bill and Ben arguing back and forth as to what to do with Gordon just wastes time a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just a little nitpick and
Yeah. Pretty much. That's my cat crazy again.
but yeah, honestly, it, the part where they go back and forth as to what to do with Gordon, it doesn't bother me that much, but it does lower my rating just a little bit, not too much though, just a little bit. So yeah, I'm also gonna agree with you and give it an 8.
Alrighty, so pretty much, so pretty much so far you're still, so pretty much so far you're still 1 point higher than me. I got, so far I have a 26 out of 40, and you have a 27 out of 40.
Yeah. All right, this is it, folks. We've
Yeah,
come to
this
the
is the
big one.
fan. Yep, this is the most fan favorite story of any classic Thomas fan or even just Thomas fans in general. And luckily, Barney's the one that's going to talk about it. Edward's exploit.
All right, Edward's exploit. So this story starts off quite differently than in the TV episode. So this one in the book starts off with Edward scolding Bill and Penn severely, but then telling Gordon it served him right, and Gordon is furious. So a couple days pass, and Edward is supposed to take a train to the China Clay Works to meet Bill and Ben, but he's having trouble starting with the train. And then the engines are like, "Hey, do you see him straining?" Positively painful. Oh, it's just pathetic. He
You
should
should
give
give
him up
up
and be
and be
preserved before
preserved
it's too
before
late.
it's too late.
Shut the fuck up, bitches. You're just fucking jealous. Edward's better than Edward. Edward's great. You're right, Doug. Edward may be old, but he'll surprise us all. And then basically, Edward takes the passengers to the China Clay Works where they meet Bill and Ben, and Bill and Ben take them to the China Clay Works on a special brake van. And this is something that is exclusive to the TV episode. They show they show the China Clay Works in a scene, whereas in the book
They do
version,
like pretty much, yeah, pretty much the TV series went a little bit. Went a little bit more. It actually showed like Bill and Ben taking the visitors to the China Clay Works, and like pretty much, yeah, the visitors had a very wonderful time before it was time for them to like go back home with Edward.
yeah, in the book version, it just cuts straight to the conflict. Like it does show the illustration with Bill and Ben, but then it just cuts straight to the conflict. So on the way back, the weather changes. Wind and rain buffeted Edward. His sandy gear failed, and his firemen rode in front, dropping sand on the rails. Suddenly, there was worse to come. He shook furiously, and with a shrieking crack, something broke. And what broke? One of the crank pins, and basically, this is something that only happens in the book, but horrifying. This is horrifying.
It is. I mean, like, yeah, like pretty much in the TV series, like it's just more like his side rods come out, but like no, like in the book version, like Edward is really broken. Like you could tell that he is very broken up
Yeah,
now.
the side rods come off, and basically the one of his sides is basically crooked, completely broken. And that basically that if that was real life, that would have been withdrawn damage level. Like basically, Edward will have to be taken out of service forever.
Pretty much. Yeah, it's almost like equivalent of like someone like popping a bone out of their arm and such. Like pretty much it's just as painful as it sounds.
Yeah. So basically, the crank pins break, and the fireman and the driver, fireman, and the guard decide what to do. So, at first they ask Edward if he can pull the train, but he can't do it because no matter how Edward tries, he can't do it. But then they decide to try one more thing, which is to basically set up the cufflinks so Edward can pull them slowly, and luckily enough, that works. The first coach helps start the second helps the third, and so on and so forth. And well, Edward, like the fucking chatty is, he's like, no, I'm gonna get the passengers home no matter what. And
Pretty
honestly,
much.
I'm gonna try not to get choked up because this is, it's.
Go ahead.
I try not to get choked up because this is so inspiring. The fact that he still managed to get the train home, even if one of his sides was completely broken.
I mean, pretty much as the narrator stated, like battered, weary, but unbeaten, Edward managed to pull the train home. Pretty much, you know what? I like to imagine that, like, that maybe like a Scarlotti and Aeneas, like, both told Edward their own experience about like when they were very close to being broken down, but they still got the train on time, and that when the time came and everything, and pretty much Edward had his own little breakdown as well too. He was just like, if Scarlotti and Aeneas can do it, so can I.
Yeah, and basically, Edward gets to the station, and he's late. He's like very late. And the fat
And,
control and Sir Top Hat is like, "You're late," but then the passenger just sweep him aside like nothing happened.
I mean, like the passengers were just like, shut the fuck up! Like, are you actually bad mouthing Edward, our Lord and Savior? He brought the train home. I mean, sure, he was late, but he still brought us home, man. You should have seen him. And the fat controller is just like, what have I done?
Yeah, basically they basically sweep him aside, and the crowd and the station is basically goes apeshit for Edward.
Like, yeah, that's actually very impressive. Like, if you think about it, like, yeah, this is the only time where, like, the fat controller is actually very cross with Edward at first.
Yeah, but then the passengers sweep him aside like nothing happened, and after that they get on Henry Strange, still cheering because the station is still going apeshit for what Edward did. And I don't fucking blame him. If I was one of those passengers, I would have been cheering like crazy, and I would have been an Edward fanboy right then and there.
I mean, rightfully so. Definitely rightfully so.
So then Edward goes back to the shed, and Duck and BoCo saw to it that he was left in peace. Gordon and
And
James.
Gordon and James remain respectfully silent.
And I do wish that's where I wanted the story to end. I do wish the story ended there, because
but actually in the book version, they actually added something extra.
yeah. So while Edward's away being mended, BoCo is tasked with taking care of the branch line, and he does such a good job that almost every engine on the railway accepted him, even Donald and Douglas. And one of those days they were heard to remark, "For young Diesel, yeah, BoCo's such a bad sort of engine." And that, from the Caledonian twins, is high praise indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me get this nitpick out of the way. It's just a nitpick. This is just a nitpick I have. It doesn't affect my rating for the story.
Go ahead.
I'm not a fan of the ending. I think they should have left it after Gordon and James remained respectfully silent. That's where it should have ended. Because when you put that ending of Donald and Douglas accepting it, which isn't bad, I'm glad that's there, but it just ruins the mood for me. Like,
Okay, yeah. So pretty much it's almost kind of like the same way how like, pretty much the nitpick you had with like the flying kipper. We're pretty much
exactly.
yeah, we're pretty much the flying one was just like, hey, you clumsy great engine. I don't care that you almost died. You almost spilled my hot cup of cocoa and such.
Yeah, in this case, is much worse because we just went through something historic, and I'm still getting choked up because of what Edward did. Something heroic. Like only he could do it. Because if this was James, he would have fucking was like, okay, I'm done. Get help, please. Get help, get quick. If this was Thomas, he also would have given up. If this was Gordon, he also would have given up. But nope, Edward just kept on going. And the fact that he got them home, and that the other engines are finally respecting him after all the bullshit they said about him. That's just the best ending the story could get.
It is. Like I definitely do agree with you right there.
And that final scene just completely takes away the mood, and that's the thing that really I don't like. But like I said, it's just a nitpick, just a nitpick, because the story itself, I mean, I'm speechless as to what to say about the story, because every Thomas fan knows about the story, and it's a fan favorite for good reason too. And the fact that now, after watching Edward Saga that the Unlucky Tug did, my opinions of the story have gotten even better now.
Nice.
So this was tough. This
Is gonna happen, folks?
This was very tough for me to say. It took me 3 weeks to think of this very well, because we had to push the episode back a couple times. But after having 3 weeks to think about it, I'm starting to get butterflies in my stomach thinking about
it. Pretty much this is it. We're saying, go on, Bonnie. What are you gonna say?
Me, Edward's exploit. I have to take a breather because I have butterflies in my stomach right now.
Take your time. Take your time, Barney. It's not like I have a fucking passenger train waiting for me.
To me, Edward's exploit is an 11.
Oh my god, we finally got an 11, folks! And I think as Barney told me off screen, I think this is the only 11 he might get. He might get for the story as well too.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So you may be saying, well, what about the ending? Doesn't that ending affect your rating for the story? Because, like you said, you don't like that it ruins the mood. The ending is just a minor nitpick because I'm still too busy thinking about the heroic thing Edward did that the ending doesn't really matter for me anymore.
Alrighty.
I mean, in terms of Donald Duck accepting BoCo to the railway, not the ending where Gordon and
Yeah,
James learn to respect him. But
yeah. I know. I understand what you mean and such.
but honestly, the story's still very powerful. The fact that he
Mhm.
suffered
Mhm.
horrifying damage, and he still managed to get the passengers home,
Mhm.
just goes to
Yeah.
show how Edward is a fucking genius and a fucking what's the word fucking
I mean, pretty much he's a genius, and as you said, he's a Chad.
a fucking chat exactly. Like he still got them home because if this was James, Gordon, or Thomas, they would have
Mhm.
given up. But Edward is like, nope. Scarlowe did it, so can I.
Scarlowe did it. Rheneas did it. I mean, even Heg, like, I mean, Heg, even Percy managed to bring the passengers home too during the fucking flood as well too.
Exactly. So Scarlowe did it, Rheneas did it, Percy did it, so can I. And well,
Mm-hmm.
that's the reason I love this story. It's such a powerful story that, to be completely honest with you guys, I think thinking about it long and hard, I think this is the only story that deserves an 11 because of how powerful it is.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I don't think the TV series does the story justice. You have to read the book version.
Alrighty. Well, honestly, I'm gonna slightly disagree with you. At least in terms of like which version I like the most and everything. Because honestly, like I do still love the book version. I think the book version for what it does and everything, and pretty much like tries to caps off like the story and everything. It is very good, especially that illustration where like you see Edward breaking down as well too. That is a very powerful and impactful like illustration right there, no doubt about it and such. And even seeing a picture after that where you see like Edward like pretty much like bringing the passengers home like with all his strength and all his might, it is still very much a very impactful scene. And even when reading it and everything, I definitely understand and I definitely do see why a lot of Thomas fans like love the story to death and everything, and pretty much like why they put Edward in like very high regard as well too, because like yeah, pretty much
And I
as you
also
said,
gotta
like,
say, sorry for interrupting. I also
go
gotta say
ahead.
this is Edward's grand finale in the series because after that we don't see him again.
Well, I mean, like,
At least
yes,
in
like,
Wilbur's tenure. At least in Wilbur's
yeah,
tenure.
yeah. In terms of Wilbur's tenure, yes, we don't see him again. However, he does appear here and there in Chris's books, but yeah, pretty much for his story to pretty much like end off like Edward's little saga about like engines like dissing him, thinking he's too old and doesn't need to like run the railway anymore and everything. Pretty much, Wilbur could not have thought of like a really more powerful and like impactful like ending to give to like. To pretty much give to the character that started the railway series right from the very beginning and everything. I like pretty much like just having Edward being like this chat and everything, being like this very brave hero, this undetermined, this very determined like engine as well too that wants to get the passengers home as well too, no matter what it takes and everything. It is very hard not to be emotional, or at least like look up to Edward and everything that's doing all he can to like bring the passengers home. Even though he knows full well he's going to be very late and everything, he doesn't care. Like pretty much like as long as the passengers get home like one way or another and everything, that's all Edward cares about. And at the end of the day, the passengers realize that as well too. They realize that like, hey, this engine went out of our way to make sure we still got home safe and sound. So you know what? We're gonna make sure his hard work does not go unnoticed and such. And they definitely did. They definitely showed that. Like as soon as the Fed controller was getting ready to like tell Edward off, which again, like that's like the only time the Fat Controller ever got crossed with Edward and such, which is very surprising as well too.
Indeed,
And
and I also gotta say, anybody who has seen Edward Saga that the Unlucky Tug did, the fact that he used "Nothing Can Stop Us Now" from Little Train That Could,
uh-huh,
fucking fits perfectly.
it does. Like it does fit very perfectly and such. And again, seeing those illustrations of like Edward making it home in one piece and everything. Honestly, like I said, I can understand why people like would be moved to it. Now, me personally, I do prefer the TV series a little more than the book version, to be perfectly honest. And the more reason why, like, I prefer the TV series, like, it's more so due with like visuals and even how like Britt and David like, honestly, Britt and David really did like a very good job on like trying to capture that action scene, and even like a very like emotional scene, like right when Edward is ready, right when Edward had finally started pulling the train once again, and again, hearing Edward's theme and everything as he chops along and pretty much like pat. It pretty much like passes through the railway until he gets to the station, and even like and even like some very great shots of him like passing the viaduct, make it into the station as well too. Pretty much Britt and David really sold me on that scene right there about like about seeing Edward just like really trying his best and everything, and pretty much like getting the train home on time and everything with no issues whatsoever as well too. To me right there, that's also just as powerful as the book and everything. But I definitely do understand where people are coming from about like the TV series definitely could have done a lot more and everything in terms of like Edward scene and everything.
But you also
But
gotta, but you also gotta think about this. This was only the second series, and at that time, the technology was not very good. So
yeah, like pretty much yeah. I was just gonna say with the technology and budget that Britt and David still had at the time and everything. Honestly, I think they performed that scene as well as they could and everything. Honestly,
yeah, so you can't blame them all too much for not having Edward's side break apart, because
yeah.
they only had one model of Edward, and breaking it apart that will cost a lot of money to basically fix Edward. So I understand why they opted not to do the just to do it with the side rods and not the whole body.
Yeah, and honestly, like pretty much like another reason why I also prefer the TV series a little bit more and such, is more so I feel like the TV series like feels a little bit more complete than the book version in terms of like having Edward like bring the passengers to see Bill and Ben, and then you get to see that nice little montage of like visitors having a good time at the China Clay Works and everything, and even seeing the beginning as well too of like setting the visitors up with like a braided bus as well too, and having Edward being the one pulling the train like to meet Bill and Ben and everything. Like, I pretty much like the way Britt and David handled the episodes well too. I thought they did like a very good job to where like when I read the book version and everything, like there's just something about the book version and everything where it's just like again like I don't really hate it all that much and everything, and like pretty much like yeah, without the book and everything, we never would have had a TV series. We never would have had a TV series version of the story to begin with. But every time I read a book and everything, like there's always something in the back of my mind. I just feel like something is missing within the story.
What
And
exactly? Can you? What exactly is missing from it?
again, like pretty much as you said, like as soon as Edward like brings the passengers to meet Bill and Ben, pretty much Wilbur's just like yeah, Edward brought the passengers to meet Bill and Ben and everything, and then that's it. Like and the next day Bill. And then yeah, the next scene like Edward is ready to take the passengers home and such.
Thinking about you do have a point there. Yeah, because it's like it skips straight to the conflict. On the one hand, I can sort of give Wilbur the benefit of the doubt there because it's a book and it's different than watching it on TV. So I can understand why Britt and David decided to take a new leaf with the TV episode instead of skipping straight to the conflict. But I can I can give Wilbur the benefit of the doubt there.
Like at the same time, like I could also understand too, because yeah, as you said, like books are way more different than like television as well too, because pretty much with books and everything, the visuals has to come through your mind and such. Like sometimes the visuals have to come through your mind as well as like the limited amount of pictures that like Peter and I like both Peter and Wilbur are allowed to have within like the books as well too. But yeah, pretty much I can understand why Wilbur wants to cut straight to the conflict as quickly as possible. But every time I read that scene and everything, like again, it's one of those moments where I just feel like there's something missing within the book that's like not necessarily making me like take away the enjoyment out of it and everything, but it just makes me feel like there's something a lot more that like could have been like added in a sort of way too.
I do see where you're coming from, and that's completely fine. I just feel like the book version is the best one because of that amazing illustration that
And I mean, like, I can't lie. Like, the illustration, like, again, especially for Edward scenes, they are amazing. I cannot lie. Like, I pretty much, like, both Peter and even Wilbur, like, brought that action scene to life. Like, while honestly, like, I wouldn't say it's, like, as grand as, like, Gallows Engine or even, like, Bold Out or anything like that. It's still pretty grand and such. Like, honestly, it's still pretty grand. It's still, like, plenty of action scenes going around. And yeah, once you see Edward actually, like, able to pull the train and everything, I can understand why a lot of people would get very emotional for that scene. Like, it is a very powerful scene. I cannot deny it and such.
Indeed, and no wonder got me choked up, honestly.
Yeah. And now, honestly, like, going to the ending as well, too. now that I understand where you're coming from with the ending and everything, well, to me and everything, like I don't mind the ending all too much and everything, and I think that like it also does serve as like a nice little wrap up to like BoCo and everything about how like everyone, even like Donald and Douglas, finally accept him as like one of their families and everything. Now that I'm thinking about it and everything, I do understand where you're coming from about like how the ending kind of does ruin the mood about like because yeah, like we already had like Edward like pretty much feeling very proud for what he did and everything, and pretty much like also feeling like he did a very good job, knowing that he got the passengers home safely despite him breaking down as well too. And then like yeah, to have it ending and everything about like having a sort of like aftermath ending and everything about like what is BoCo and all the other engines doing now that Edward's being a way to be mended. While the ending to me, like it does still serve as like a good little ending as well too, especially like a good little aftermath like after the action scene right there. I do understand why some people would say that like it's not really all that needed, and it does also like drag down. It does also like kind of ruin like not necessarily ruin, but pretty much like bring down the mood on like what's been happening with the story so far and such.
Yeah, which it kind of ruins the mood for it kind of ruins the mood for me because we went through something historic with Edward, and to suddenly shift the tone a little bit. Well, I guess I shouldn't be too surprised because Bat Lookout did it as well. So
Yeah, well, honestly, like the main difference between like Bad Lookout as well too is that like with Bad Lookout, it's like yeah, with Bad Lookout, it's more so like because Wilbur like still like did a little bit of a cop out by making it seem like did Godric died or not or anything. It's still a very impactful scene at the end of the day, and like pretty much it was only just that one line and everything that kind of like ruined the story a little bit, but not to like a point to where like it just like fell flat and such. Whereas here, like the ending is still like one full page and everything, and I can see how like in that one full page and everything, it could bring down some readers' mood, especially again like after we got treated with that like a fun action scene and everything, that like pretty much like it would sour some people's mood with the story and everything at the end of the day. But and honestly, like if we were to rework the story like to this day and everything, I think what I would have done such like pretty much like if we still wanted to keep to where like Bogle was being accepted as part of the family, I think what I would have done like I would have had it to where like while Edward is waiting for like while Edward is waiting for Bill and Ben to bring the passengers back and everything. Maybe that right there could be the scene where like where pretty much like the Fat Controller comes up to Bogle and just be like, "Hey, as Lawrence Edward is too busy bringing the passengers to like show Bill and Ben to like bring the passengers to Bill and Ben and everything. Would you mind working on Edward's branch line for a little bit and everything?" And then right there, yeah, like that probably could have been the scene where like Donald Douglas finally accept him as being part of like the Island Solar, being part of their main engines and such. And then pretty much after that, then like yeah, you could just go ahead and like return to Edward, and then like yeah, you get his conflict started.
yeah, definitely. But yeah, as I
Yeah.
was gonna say, the
Mm-hmm.
ending does ruin the mood a little bit. Does ruin the mood for me because we just like I said we just went through something historic, and to suddenly shift the mood a little bit, it's just bizarre.
Yeah, I do
But that's
understand.
just that's just a small nitpick. It doesn't affect my rating.
Yeah. And like I said, I do understand where you're coming from with that. I definitely do understand. Honestly, to me, like, even though I do prefer the TV series over the book version and everything, the book version still has some very strong, does have some very strong moments within the series. At least, like, yeah, within the Railway series and of itself and everything. And yeah, I do agree. Like, as a final story to pretty much end off Edward's character, at least in terms of like Wilbur's tenure and everything. Honestly, to me, Edward's exploit, I still enjoy the story enough to where, like, I'm also gonna give it a very solid 8.
All right, so now I'm way ahead in terms of points.
I mean, yeah, you are. Yeah, pretty much we've come to the end of the mainline entrance and everything. So now it's time to calculate our final rating. I think you went first with very old engine, right?
Yeah, so now it's your turn to go first.
Okay, so pretty much with me. So pretty much again, let's recap. So the Diesel, I gave it an 8. Buzz, I gave it a 10. Ron Road, I also gave it an 8. And Edward's Exploit, I also gave it an 8.
So
So
three
those three,
eights and ten and
yeah,
one
yeah. So
ten.
pretty much of those 3 8s and 110. Pretty much my final score of mainline engines is a 34 out of 40, which means it gets a B. So an 8 out of 10, which actually is very fitting and such.
Well, for me it's a bit different. So because the Diesel for me got a 9,
Yes. So
Buzz
all
Buzz
right.
got a 10, Rum
Yes.
Road got an 8, and the finale story, my only 11.
Yep, you're only 11. So yours got a 38 out of 40, which we all know what that's going to equal to an A plus, a
Yep.
95%, so a 9 out of 10.
Yeah. Honestly, I've always loved this book since I was a little kid. I've always loved it, and
Mm-hmm.
it's still one of my favorite Railway Series books. Period. If I ever did a top 10 Railway Series books, this would be in like number 6 or number 7.
I mean, like, honestly, listening to you, like, discussing, like, all the stories, especially Edward's exploit, like, pretty much, like, as soon as I heard you talk about Edward's exploit, especially conflict and everything, pretty much at the back of my mind, I was just like, yeah, okay, either this is going to get a 10, or pretty much with the way, like, you were building up the suspense in the end, I was like, yeah, this is going to be Barney's first and only 11 and such.
Yep, and I had to think about that 11 long and hard because I was going back and forth. So does it deserve a 10 or doesn't it, or should I save the 11? And honestly, after thinking about it, I think Edward's exploit does deserve the 11. Even with the small nitpick I have about the ending, it still doesn't matter because this story's still fantastic.
It is like honestly, I will be perfectly honest. Like even though like I wouldn't consider Mainline Engines my favorite book. Like out of the whole Railway series and everything, it is still a very good book and everything. Like pretty much like we still have all these very great and classic stories for a reason, and especially with Buzz and everything. Like pretty much like this is another book where pretty much Wilbur did do another very good job on like not only like writing this book and not only like setting Edward off into like a very grand and like deserving finale and everything. But once again, he also did a very good job at introducing like a couple of characters, like pretty much two sets of twins that like are going to be fan favorites in the series, and for very good reasons and such too. And pretty much like also, and pretty much like with the way he also written BoCo as well too, and everything. Pretty much again, there's no reason why like BoCo also became like a very fan favorite in terms of like the Thomas fans and everything.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, it's such a shame he disappeared after season 5, though.
Yeah, pretty much, and pretty much like it's not going to be much better once we get to Christmas books as well too.
Oh no, not at all. Not
Yeah.
at all. But yeah, still, I love this book. Honestly, I love the characters introduced, like Bill and Ben. Bill and Ben to this day are still staples in the series, and for good reason too. BoCo
Mm-hmm.
as well. And honestly, all 4 stories were great. I love all the 4 stories, and I love the story so much that I pretty much have them memorized. So
I mean to be fair, that's perfectly understandable. Like I said, even though like this might not be my favorite book out of the whole series and everything, I can't deny that the stories are still very good. With like I said, Buzz being the most memorable story, out of the 4 stories within this book and such. And like I said, I definitely do agree with you that this is definitely like Peter's best work in terms of pretty much in terms of like what we're seeing so far and his era of the Railway series and everything.
yeah, honestly, I was also gonna say, even though this book is an A plus, to me it's an S, no matter what.
Yeah, yeah, folks, don't be surprised once we get to the tier list. Barney is definitely going to put this in the S, no question about it.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, it does deserve an S. Even though it got an A plus, to me, it's still an S because I love all 4 stories, and all 4 stories are memorable to in
Mm-hmm.
their own right, especially the last one. And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I keep coming back to this book because of how great it is.
Yeah, like I said, for perfectly good reasons as well too.
Yeah. So, folks, before we end this episode, let's just make a little announcement that we have been discussing for a little bit.
Yes, so pretty much, we're going to take another quick break with the Railway series as well. It's not going to be much of a long break. We're only going to take the holidays off and such. And basically, when we come back and everything, we're actually going to pretty much when we come back, we're also going to take a look at another at another railway that Wilbur did. And this book is very interesting because this book would not be adapted until way later once we get to the CGI era.
Until season 20.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna take the holidays off, and when we come back, we're gonna be taking a look at the Arlesdale Railway with small railway engines.
Yep, and that one's going to be very interesting.
Indeed, indeed. So anyway, folks, thank you all so much for watching this episode of the Really Useful Podcast. If you guys enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you guys want to see more episodes of the podcast, hit the subscribe button as well. Also, don't forget it, if you like the Wiggles, make sure to check out our Wiggles podcast. It's a Wiggly Wiggly podcast. Where so far we're as of we're recording this, episode 5 is currently in the editing stages.
Yes, yes. Pretty much, episode 5 should be coming out real soon. And pretty much by the time we're recording this, we're also getting ready to listen to Yummy Yummy as well too for episode 6.
Yes, indeed. So anyway, guys. It's been Bonnie with.
So Corey the Diesel.
Saying thank you for watching, and we'll be seeing you guys in 2025 when we take a look at small railway engines. So until then, happy holidays, and we'll see you guys next year. So until then, take care, folks, and bye bye.